Hello, today we are joined by Attorney General Mr. R. Venkataramani. As the India's top law officer, Mr. Venkataramani has represented the central government in many crucial cases in the Supreme Court as well as other judicial platforms. However, today he is not here to talk to us about law, but on a subject which is equally close to his heart, and that is poetry. Mr. Venkataramani will be in conversation with us on his latest book, which is based on poems written by him, called Roses Without Thorns. Many congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Bhadra
so
ji.
much for joining us. So first of all, my first question is relates to the title of the book, Roses Without Thorns. What are you really trying to reflect through this title?
I've tried to explain it in the book itself, saying it is the outcome of my conversation with Baba Amte when he was telling me that how beautiful it will be to have a rose plant without thorns to help leprosy afflicted patients to pick flowers with the same sense of comfort and ease which any one of us could have. So that was a compassion idea which went into my mind. That means if life can be roses without thorns, our endeavors, our actions, our relationships can be roses without thorns. Because today, when you talk thorns, it means all those hostile, negative factors and feelings, emotions, ideas, which divide people, individuals, communities, classes, race, etc. So thorns are what I think we have brought unto ourselves, or maybe thorns which are part of our life because of our human nature or whatever one may call it. So can there be a world where we have roses without thorns? That's the idea behind that.
Okay, and you were a very busy lawyer. How did you get the time to write all these poems, and what really inspired you to write them? And for how long have you been writing them?
It's been going on for a fairly long period. I don't think like any other writer who wanted to make writing as a career or a profession. It is just, I think, ideas and thoughts which come into your mind, you just pen them down and just put them into your shelf. That's about all. So over a long period, so the spells have gone from early 90s to then 2003 to 8, then later 2013, 15, and the latest period is about the lockdown. So it's been over a long period. It is just the impulse to put down on paper your thoughts and ideas. That's about all. There was no I think, thought in my mind that I'll publish a book. The publication idea is a very recent idea.
Is there any common element linking all your poems in the book? Or is there any common message which you're trying to give through your poems in this particular book?
As a practicing lawyer and looking at life in general, because law and life are so combined, so intertwined. If you are a very perceptive look at law and how law acts in society, impacts, then I suppose you have to bring law and life together. So in my understanding of how law impacts or life makes law, necessarily reflections have happened over a period of time. That's why I called it reflections of an immaterial wanderer.
Can you just explain it a bit further? Immaterial wanderer.
I didn't want to say that my thoughts should have immortality. Somebody who is immaterial means you don't get attached to anything. So lack of attachment, non-attachment. So I just wander in search of meanings, content, and so therefore the theme in this book are all reflections of how I looked at various aspects of life. But something which has constantly puzzled me is that is human nature something which is so beyond our own individual ability to transform it. It's so immutable that there are a lot of things in life are beyond our own self-regulatory endeavor. But if human nature is capable of being managed by us, why is it not being managed by us? So the conflict between that what one may understand as an immutability of human nature and its malleability, or its being subjected to human exercise, human endeavor to change it, control it, regulate it, and so that we have a world where we are able to, as far as possible, eliminate all those warring tendencies in human nature, anger, desire, greed, all that kind of stuff. So that's basically one common theme. I looked at some elements of human nature which are so repulsive, and certain other elements which are so beautiful, profound. And the potential of human nature also to go in search, perennially towards what is the meaning of life, what is this world, what is the universe. All of us ask these questions.
Right.
So regardless of wherever we are, where we are. So these things also began to engage my mind. And certain other reflections on looking at nature and what they tell us, what they teach us. So probably everything about nature, if you look very closely, observe very closely, tell you something or the other which is very beautiful, very profound, very lovable, and joyful. So I think I've tried to connect all of this.
So, a lawyer and a poet, have you ever found any connection between these two sides of your personality? Or have you found any connection between law and poetry writing? Is there anything to link the two together?
So we have given a certain meaning, restrictive meaning, to literature or to poetry because of the form in which thoughts are sought to be communicated or conveyed. Poetry means a form, a rhyme, a meter, say a grammar, all that. Therefore, we consider the different communication method or a process. So then we think that law doesn't have any such form of communication. Somewhere I have written, as long as coercion is the way in which laws are made, then we're going to have forever as to how such laws can have more promising enforcement outcomes. So coercion today is just the central part of any law. If we don't have coercion, no law works. So can we have elements of law where this coercion aspect can be incrementally taken out of a law enforcement, which means we must fall back on human nature. So it's a very complex connection.
So basically what you were trying to suggest is that law should really get inspired from the essence of poetry writing, which is communication.
I suppose so.
Okay.
So how do you communicate and what do you communicate? The systems of communication in law, institutions are built on systems of communication. So systems of communication and enforcement, if they can be influenced by the inner essence of certain things, then communication systems may become very different today.
So you just mentioned about how you also wrote poetry during the COVID lockdown. Want to just ask you, were there any differences in your emotions when you wrote during COVID and before COVID? Or did you find any change in the emotions which you wrote through your poetry?
Maybe to some extent, because for all of us lockdown was a different experience, because we were locked physically but unlocked mentally. All of us, I suppose.
Yeah.
Our mind began to travel. It depends on where we wanted to do what we wanted to do. But many of us had the free time to travel in our mind. So certain emotions were different, certainly, and that's because the observation part of our human mind will be conditioned by where you are and how you are at a particular point of time. You travel in a rail or a bus or any other mode of transport. So your observation will be conditioned by that.
Yeah.
So you are at home, just the physical world around you, nothing beyond that, not even faces of your own relatives, so all distance. So the ability of the mind to open up as much imagination as possible was available during lockdown, which would not have been probably so freely, so expansively available when you are an unrestricted or unrestrained physical universe.
So the poet in you, how much has it helped you in your legal profession?
Two?
How much has the poet in you
Yes.
helped you as a lawyer? Let me put it like that.
How much as a person was always keen to look at the reality and to connect elements of reality. If that was the poet in me, it has helped me. So if I try to communicate all those reflections, I think in one way, not that the logical part of law is sharpened by this aspect, but then we again divide our mind into so many compartments. Whether you are a scientist or a sociologist, we divide our mind, right? So those divisions are only for the purpose of study of our own mind and brain. But ultimately, I think there's a merger which happens in our own brain system, which is the most wonderful thing, which is possibly anyone could have inherited, no?
But has it in some way helped in, your evolution as a lawyer?
It will be very difficult for me to make that connection, but maybe my evolution as a lawyer has also helped me to become more of a poet.
Okay, so it's been the other way around.
It could be the other around.
It could be because of whatever you have experienced or
Yes.
the kind of cases that you have argued.
And an inner need to convert a different form of communication.
Okay.
And use that form of communication.
Okay.
Maybe that way, yes.
Okay. So you probably feel that you can easily communicate through poetry writing.
Provided the world is willing to listen to me.
Okay. Well, then on that note, can we request you to read one or two poems from your book, poems that are close to your heart and,
They are very difficult for me to choose.
Yeah, of course, but
But
whatever.
very difficult for me to choose, but and every piece has got a certain communication which I want to. But many of the later pieces which I wrote during lockdown were all about every individual exploring one's own freedom, not only in the social world, but also as a human being. So a lot of pieces are around that theme.
So maybe one of them you can.
And there was one piece which about your social concerns. Right?
Okay.
Maybe I read that.
Yeah.
It's who is a thief, right? Every morsel of food I take, soaked in homely comforts make. Every day my 3-course meal is laid on a table without fail, far removed from fear and dread. Every breath so free and pure, I do inhale with fetters none. Every glass of water clear, I have a reach with cost not too dear. Every comfort I do buy, with ease and thoughts not so high. Every eve with leisure I count, the day's joys and pleasures free. Every night I lay to rest, with fears none or pains or sweat. Am I not a thief of great, with million hearts in wands and veils? So it's a connection between form of communication and the anguish you have in looking at social realities. And so that's where the question you asked me about how do you connect poetry and law.
Law,
Right.
yeah.
But something like an appeal to people. And I read this, who is a thief.
Yeah.
So something I connected to this piece which I can read is, your life is like a candle. Burn, burn till all life in darkness clad is lit and fed with lights of love. Your life is like a tree with fruits. Grow, grow till all hands in need get plenty feed. Your life is like a bird swift, forever in air so high. Fly, fly with all your dreams, till you and all sing eternal themes. Your life is like big pregnant clouds. Rain, rain till all life that is dry is drenched with love. Your life is like mountains tall. Let those in need of air so pure climb with ease till lungs expand and greet in joy. Your life is like lilies at dusk, drawing in when work is done. In your pen, if you have one, fill those inks which dry will not, and write on unbreaking links. So penguins are a beautiful creature, no?
Yeah.
So an occasion when watching something about penguins, and I wrote this piece. It's a letter to penguins. My pretty penguins, creatures in crypts of great beauty drawn, this is my heartfelt mail, in great speed dispatched. To all your portals, close your zones, lock your gates, to all human artifacts. The heartless hands of humans know only to grab all that they reach. Ask Darwin to rewrite, not survival of the fittest, but survival of the noblest.
Noblest. Well, thank you so much, sir, for giving us the time and joining us for this interview. And many, many congratulations to you once again
Thank you,
for
Bhadra
this
ji.
book. And we just hope you keep writing poetry, apart from giving your immense and important contribution in the field of law as well.
I hope the legal fraternity, the law court judges do not say poetry and law is a toxic mix.